From the Russ Center for Media in downtown Cape Girardeau, welcome to Focus on Southeast, a program on issues and events impacting the campus of Southeast Missouri State University. I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio. There is a lot happening at SEMO Athletics, including football's recent OVC win, construction of the new Houck multi-use complex, and much more. Brady Barke is SEMO's Director of Athletics. He's here now with the details on those topics and much more. Hey, Brady.
Hey, how are you?
Good, and you're looking well. It's good to see you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking time. You got a lot of good things to talk about. So let's first start off with the OVC championship with the football team. Start there.
Yeah, so, another opportunity for a championship and another opportunity for postseason. Something that I think the community maybe has grown accustomed to a little bit in the recent years, but something we don't take for granted. It's a great opportunity for our student athletes, for our program, but really to put the university on a bigger stage when you start to talk about national recognition and national exposure.
Yeah, which is great. For the university, for the players, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is, and it helps in recruitment, obviously, for our program, but again, just visibility and those things for the university and for the community, I think are great added bonuses to it.
Let's talk a little about Coach too. So he's up for another national honor here. Talk about him a little bit and his coaching philosophy and how he does this, because he's obviously got some recipe figured out that works.
Yeah, he's done a really good job. He started, when he started here almost a decade ago now. The program needed, some new life breathed into it, and he's done a really good job of creating a culture, giving something for the players to buy into, and really kind of setting the standard and working towards accomplishing their mission. And so he's done a great job, leading the program, of course, on the field. Mm-hmm. But I think what makes him really special is also what he's like off the field. The kind of mentorship and the kind of hard line approach sometimes that you have to have with young people to ensure that they don't squander away this opportunity that they have to earn a degree. He'll talk a lot about, he's a first generation college graduate, and that his life and his family's life is different because of this opportunity. Wow. And so when he spends so much time emphasizing that, you win on more than just the field with those types of things. And then, of course, everybody knows how great he and his family are in terms of the community and how much they've really bought into Cape Girardeau. And so we're certainly blessed and fortunate to have him here and have him leading the program.
Well, and you told me before we went on the air that he reads a lot of leadership books. I mean, he's always reading, always trying to make things better, and that's admirable for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think so often, you can kind of fall into this trap of, well, we found the recipe that works and we're just going to repeat that the next year. But I think he's one of our coaches that has done a really good job of evaluating his program and where it is after each season and figuring out, okay, what we did last year may not be what we need to do this year in order for us to continue to be successful. And so that's not always the easy approach because it takes a lot of work to continue to try to refine and rebuild and do that. But he's obviously found a recipe and has done a really good job with it.
Well, and of course you're going to have a different crew and different students coming in all the time, and each person will need a different sort of mentoring, right? So I guess he's figured that out and adapted to that, which makes it work.
Yeah, and the other thing that happens a lot at this level is, we turn over a lot of assistant coaches. And so, you may know the direction you want to take a program, but when you have to kind of get all of those people on the same page too, it's not just about, instilling that into your young people you're coaching, but it's also the people that are helping you coach. And so a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, and I think that's why there's such a sense of accomplishment, when you are able to get there, because you spend so much time pouring into that you want to be able to see the results. And so we don't want to take it for granted, even though we've seen a lot of championship success within the department over the last several years.
I hate to single out just one person, but let's talk a little about Geno Hess, who's just had a fantastic season.
Yeah, he really has. He's certainly one of the best running backs in the country, and has ranked up in the top in several categories throughout the country, and has done just a tremendous job. But I think he's also, as you get to know him, he's grown and matured so much as a person here. He genuinely loves this university and loves this program, and so it's so nice when you have those types of people to be able to see them be successful. Has an opportunity to potentially even be the National Player of the Year offensively, and so great recognition for him, and ultimately he'll leave here being one of the best, if not the best, offensive player that the university's had in Division I level. So just super proud of him and what he's been able to accomplish.
And a couple of records. I know he broke one, Kelvin Earthquake Anderson, from many years ago, right?
Yeah, he has broken touchdown records. He's broken rushing yards records. He recently broke an OVC single game rushing record that was previously held by another SEMO student athlete, and so he's rewritten a lot of records in those books during his time here.
That's great. Let's talk about some of the other successes from some other teams this fall and what those look like. Yeah,
I think overall, as the fall kind of shifts to the winter, I think we've had a really good fall. We've had top 3, top 4 finishes in most all of our programs this fall. We had volleyball that lost a heartbreaker in the OVC championship, with an opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament on the line, and lost that in 5 sets. But again, it's I think one of the announcers mentioned it during the broadcast that if you're going to win a conference championship in volleyball, it's going to go through Southeast Missouri. And and you take a lot of pride in that, and I think it's the case with a lot of our programs. I mean, I think if you look at what we have done since the start of 2019, we've won 20 conference championships across all of our sports, and so almost every one of our programs have won at least one championship in the last 3 or 4 years. And so when you're talking about if you want to win, it's going to have to at some point go through Southeast Missouri. I think there is a lot of truth to that, not just in volleyball, and that's a testament, I think, to the people that we have here.
Let's talk about that. What's been driving the success? I mean, we've talked before about just you've got some coaches who are long-term, who've been here for a while, who stay here, who love it here. That's got to be part of this.
Yeah, it's a huge part. I think that's been the biggest key for us, has been being able to have continuity within our coaches. And so if you look out of our 10 head coaches that we have, 9 of those 10 have been Conference Coach of the Year. One of them has been a National Coach of the Year, and they're all still here. And I think that's what's really special, because it's no secret that at this level, oftentimes you get coaches that have success, and somebody that's willing to pay them more money comes knocking, and then you end up having to identify a new coach and bring someone else in to try to then create their own identity and build the program. And we've been able to kind of avoid that, in that we've been able to retain a lot of that talent and be able to continue to build the programs year over year. And I think that's ultimately what it is. It's not a resource issue in terms of just being able to take the most money and put it towards the programs. Yeah. It's about the people, and I think what has been able to be accomplished both on and off the courts and fields is certainly remarkable in the last several years in particular.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, so having the coaches, long-term coaches sticking around, what does that do? How does it help with recruitment and that kind of thing? Because I would imagine having that stability there, that means something to potential players.
Yeah, it's really everything. I mean, whenever a prospective student athlete is being recruited, they want to know who they're going to play for. They want to know, who am I going to have an opportunity to grow under, and who's going to lead the program. And so when they know that we have coaches that have been here for a number of years, that have contracts that would keep them here potentially for a number of years after that, there's certainly a greater comfort level. We've been able to demonstrate that the coach has what it takes to have a successful program, and that they have an opportunity to come in and be part of that. And so I think it's huge. Those are the relationships that are built before they ever set foot on campus are with the coach. And so if there's that comfort level, that helps with being able to bring them here, but also retain them year over year.
Give us an idea on recruitment. A lot of South Missouri kids. Does it expand outside of Missouri for a ways? Kind of, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of our programs, if we have student athletes that are in this region, our goal is to be able to keep them here. If they can play at the Division I level and they can help us, we want them. We want them here. And I think not just to give them the opportunity, but I think so much of that, you look at people who grew up in this region, they have a different level of pride in this institution than what someone who comes from out of state who maybe doesn't have an affiliation with it. And so some of our coaches, you'll hear them talk about those types of people are sometimes the heart and soul of your program, right? Because they're the ones who, can make sure that everybody is as proud to represent this university and this region as anyone. And so I think that's a big piece of it. But obviously, depending on the sport, we have to continue to go out from there. And so, we find some sports where the talent is much more regional, and you might be able to, go and recruit St. Louis or Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, those areas. But then you may have others where there just aren't as many opportunities to identify people, and you may be down into Georgia and Mississippi and Florida and all kinds of places, Texas. And so we have to balance that because we don't have the resources to just go and recruit all over the country looking for people. We have to be really intentional about where we go and what are our chances of being able to recruit those young people to our institution. But our coaches have done a really good job of identifying places where they can pull students from and be able to have success with them.
Before we take a break, I want to ask about academic success. We talk about the success on the court and on the field, but what about in the classroom?
Yeah, that's probably one of the areas that I'm most proud of what we've been able to do. Our student athletes graduate at a higher rate than they ever have before. And so, the NCAA has a graduation metric that they use that tries to factor in and out transfer students so that you can get a true picture of how students do at your institution getting to graduation. And they've been keeping that for about 25 or 30 years now, and this past year is the highest rate that we've ever had. And so when you look at that and you couple that with the athletic success that you're having, you truly are identifying students who are serious about earning a degree. You have coaches and staff that are serious about holding students accountable towards that, and then the success that you're having athletically. And so it's really been a special thing and something that maybe we don't talk about enough, people don't hear enough, but the success that they have and the things that they go on to do, the number of people we put into medical school or law school or, that go on to, further their degree in graduate school and then go out and have successful careers is really amazing. It's not just about professional sports or something like that.
Well, it's funny you talked about, kind of getting used to having the OVC championships. I see so many releases, 4.0, another student, 4.0, 3.8, 4.0. It's becoming just sort of part of what goes on,
It is, and I think that's the trap we fall into is that, you get so accustomed to, another great semester, and you forget to really talk about how special that is. And so, really, really proud of what we've been able to do.
Okay, well, let's take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk about the HALC project. How about that?
That sounds
All right, we're going to continue our conversation with SEMO Athletic Director Brady Barke in just a moment. You're watching Focus on Southeast, and we will be right back. welcome back to Focus on Southeast. We're spending time today with SEMO Athletic Director Brady Barke. I'd like to spend some time talking about the Houck multi-use project. So where are we at in that process?
So things are going pretty well with it. The construction of the first phase is well underway, and so of course the demolition took place after the previous season, and then we worked through the design and awarded that contract to begin the south side construction. And so currently they are working towards constructing that south side grandstand. And so by the fall, our plan is to have about 4,000 seats added back to the south side, plus new restrooms and concessions and a new entrance in. Of course, that'll also have ADA accessibility, something that we haven't necessarily had a lot of in the past. And then we'll also replace the playing surface, so we'll replace the artificial turf and the goalposts and some of those things as part of that, because they were at the end of their useful life too, and so it kind of all was able to be tied in together. And so we're excited for at least this initial phase to be well underway and progressing well so far.
Is the delay in material stuff that's been going on all over, is that causing any issues, supply chain? Thus
far we have managed to be okay. You kind of continue to hold your breath and hope that you don't run into something that you didn't anticipate. But we had good weather through the fall that allowed for some of the work to really progress, maybe even just a little bit ahead of schedule. And then as they've been able to continue, things are on track and are going well, and so we're excited for that, and certainly looking forward to being able to turn our attention towards the future phases of the project here sometime soon as well. Well,
and that will be done as the university celebrates on 150th anniversary is all in 2023. That's when it starts. So that'll be a real big celebration.
Yeah, it's a great time to be able to open that and create some excitement and welcome people back. Of course, even just adding this first phase will about double our capacity of what we've had this year. And we sold out most every game this year, and so being able to welcome additional people back into it will be nice, especially coming off the success that we've had in both soccer and football as we move into the next year. And but I think the project itself it's so much more than just that, and I think that's what I think we've really tried to make sure we are able to communicate to people that, number one, this initial phase isn't the project. There are multiple phases to this, but then that we really wanted to make sure that this wasn't just a venue that was being renovated to be used a dozen times a year. There are so many other benefits, and so as we look at possible academic spaces in this that have some common connections to athletics, thinking about athletic training and nutrition and dietetics and some of these allied health programs, where we can create some academic spaces, we can create some experiential opportunities for students, while also meeting some needs from an athletic standpoint. And so being able to kind of collaborate in that way is really unique. It's really kind of a neat opportunity. Opens the door to potentially some additional partnerships. And so we're excited to be able to start working and talking about those things now that we're kind of underway with this first phase of the construction.
And that's why we hear multi-use project, and I have a note here to myself, it's not just a stadium, it's a lot more than that, and that's part of all the academic tie-in, which is a really unique concept.
Yeah, and I think it creates not just that academic space, but as you think about what it means, there's opportunities for intramural sports to be able to play, championships, flag football championships in the stadium once it's redone, and you've got opportunities for, band showcase events with high school. I mean, you've got all kinds of things now that if you have a venue that can accommodate those things, it opens so many doors. But then also what it means to the university and to, the community, because it is the front door to the university and to really downtown Cape. And so as you think about what it signifies when you drive down Broadway and you see something like that, it's a completely different impression than what you currently have about what's there. And so it's such an important project for us, and something that, as we talk about the 150th, this is really something that will set us up for the future. And hopefully not the next 150 years. It probably won't last that long. But, certainly sets us up for the next 50 to talk about, the future and the trajectory of the university and of our athletics program.
Talk a little about, so the significance of it you just mentioned, but what about the impact on the region, on the economy? I know there was some study done on that item.
Yeah, and I think it's twofold. And so there is certainly a significant financial impact to the community from the construction itself. A lot of dollars into the community for the construction of the facility. But then also, as you talk about the events and the things that you bring in and the visitor spending that then results from it. And so I think if you look up and down Broadway into the downtown Cape area or out to the hotels, the impact on, a home football weekend, for example, on the community from restaurants and hotels and gas stations and those types of things is certainly significant. And then if you talk about opportunities to bring in other types of events as well, that just continues to to multiply. And so I think that's the long-term return that I think the community has the opportunity to see. And I think we've seen that with Sportsplex and other things within the community where you create something that draws people in and the community benefits and is able to grow and thrive from that. And we're trying to find the same opportunities for the community.
So and again, that's going to help with recruiting, right? That's going to make a big impact when they come and tour and see this fantastic facility. That's going to make a difference.
Yeah, we always say that 18 to 22-year-olds are attracted to things that glitter and shine, and that's the truth. And it's our prospective student athletes, but it's also students in general. They want to know that they're coming to an institution that is doing well and is thriving, and not one that's deteriorating and kind of run down. And so I think it is important, and we want it to be something that people show off and that people have a lot of pride in, and not something that people try to drive by and point the other direction as they go by and hope that nobody sees it. And so it's a really important thing, and it's really exciting and capitalizing on a lot of momentum that we have right now from an athletic standpoint to be able to put this together.
And again, as you noted, there are future phases to this to really grow this. Kind of talk about it just a little bit, just to give folks an idea.
Yeah, so of course, once the South Side Grandstand is done, we will still need to replace it with a press box. And so we still need to construct a new press box there that will accommodate game functions, but also be able to have some premium spaces for fans to be able to come and enjoy events. It also could be a rental space as we think about holiday functions or corporate gatherings, those types of things. It could be another kind of a unique rental space. But that's something that will have to be done. It's something that as we looked towards the playoffs, for example, for this year, the absence of a press box certainly makes a difference in your ability to host an event like that and bring it in. And it's something that we're fortunate to be able to talk about national television exposure with playoffs. But it can't be here because we don't have the facilities. And so those types of things are important. But then as we continue through the project, we're talking about this academic building, kind of an allied health sciences building that could have kind of some sports medicine, athletic training type spaces, the nutrition and dietetics, maybe some human performance elements where you have some lab spaces where you can certainly use student athletes even for some of the experiential work to be able to do some testing and various things, have classroom spaces and those types of things, but maybe be able to also find a way to incorporate into that building some additional premium type of seating or experience space in there for game days. And then continuing around to the north side, looking at replacing the seating on that side.
Okay.
It's something that's beginning to age, and we will need to have a plan to address. And then I think kind of the last part of that is the field house. So the field house is one of those that is getting up there in age too, and we'll need to figure out what that building looks like. Is it something that can be renovated? Is it something that will need to be replaced? And kind of incorporate that into the plan as well. It may not be an immediate need in the same sense as a press box is or something like that, but it is something we certainly need to plan for as we think about, again, the future, the next 50 years. What does that entire area look like? I think the field house plays into that too.
And we've got about a minute and a half. Before we go, I want to ask about community engagement. I know that the teams and the coaches are very, very involved in community activities here in the area. Makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does. You know, I think we ask the community to embrace us. We have an obligation really to embrace the community too, and so we want to talk to our student athletes about it being more than just about them. You know, it's an opportunity for them to give back, and so, you know, examples, whether that is helping pack meals, you know, for you know, people in need. You know, we've had the football program, for example, that is going to go out and you know, every year buy toys and things for maybe families that have kids that can't afford them, or you get sports that go into the schools and work with you know, work with the kids on reading or math or those types of things. I think it's really important. It's something that's hard to fit into schedules sometimes because they're so busy, but it's an important piece that we want to make sure that that they take advantage of and recognize the need to participate in.
Well, Brady, congrats to you and all your team and all your coaches and staff. Everybody's just done a fantastic job. We're looking for more great things.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, Focus on Southeast is a collaboration of KRCU Public Radio and the Department of Mass Media here at Southeast Missouri State University. And just a reminder that portions of these conversations will be broadcast on KRCU Public Radio and will also be available online at krcu.org. From the Russ Center for Media, I'm Dan Woods. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when we focus on Southeast.